Hey, how's it going, YouTube? This is Ethan here. Just wanted to give a quick review on the new Galaxy S7. Obviously, right now, I'm not using the phone to take this video. I'm using my S5, which is actually a good thing as of right now, so I can give you kind of like a proper comparison. I don't have the S6, and I didn't move from the S5 to the S6 to the S7 just because I've always kind of waited for a gap, and I kind of feel that was a smarter choice, especially with this, because the whole reason that I picked up the S5 to begin with was for the IP certification from dust and water resistance, and the S6 didn't have that. S7 does. So, real quick, my first initial kind of opinions on the phone and impressions is I definitely like the phone. I enjoy it. The screen is very bright. Here, I'll just open it up real quick. I mean, this isn't even on full brightness, but you could let it go up all the way. I mean, the screen and colors look insanely good. Definitely a step up from the S5. Not as far as I know, not too much from the S6, but everyone has been saying that the screens are just competitively getting better. Definitely, as you can kind of notice, since I'm using this camera compared to the 12 megapixel camera with the S7, I can definitely say the S7's camera is very good, especially the front camera, because when I first got my S5, I noticed the front camera was kind of okay. It definitely wasn't nearly as good as the HTC at the time, for sure. But real quick, like considering that I've only had this phone for a couple days now, but out of the box, from what I've messed around with, there's a lot of customization that you can get into. If you go to settings, I mean, you have all of the main stuff that you're probably going to use the most is right at the top: display, battery, sound, yada yada. One cool thing now that you can do is you have themes. So as you can kind of see, like I have the whole rain, water thing going on, and there's a lot of customization with that. I mean, it messes with your all your different logos, symbols, and you have a good set of different fonts you can use. The only thing that kind of bummed me out when it comes to being able to choose fonts is some of them you have to pay for, and honestly, I don't really know why you go out of the way to drop $4 on a different font style if you really want to have, sans or some kind of Times New Roman. Go ahead, cool. It's just I really wouldn't go that far. One thing I will say out of the box, there is a pretty fat update that recently came out in April, I believe. Now, I got the phone, it wasn't shipped with that, so had to take it out, drop the SIM in, and had to use the service to get the update, which took forever. I don't know if necessarily everyone has that experience, but my signal was so weak. Even though I had full bars with LTE, I was maybe getting about like a megabyte or two, like on download speed. It was shitty. It took forever to get that. After the update, though, everything seemed to be fine, seemed to work well, and I have service on both of these phones right here, so I was able to see that my service worked fine with the S5, not with the S7 right away. Uh, and after just picking up the phone, it fits really well in the hand. I mean, it's very comfortable. And the only thing I would say is I miss having the matted, almost kind of plasticky. And I know it's kind of, maybe some people's unpopular opinion, but I hate how much of like a fingerprint magnet this is. But it's definitely comfortable. I like having the increase the expandable storage, which is a little kind of hard to get to. Like you kind of need to use like a key. I use the fucking thumbtack. That's all I really had at the time, but you can get to it with just a little bit of difficulty. But I do wish they kind of would get away from the gleamy kind of plastic material. But I mean, the metallic sides, the bezels are great. So it's a really comfortable phone. The only thing I would say is it would be nice if I felt like if I dropped my Samsung, I wouldn't have to worry about it being as fragile as it is, in my opinion, next to like say like an HTC or maybe even an LG. I feel like their phones just tend to have a bit more dexterity and durability in their build, but definitely as far as like weight, because I don't have the Edge, I just have the S7, so it's a little on the thicker side compared to say like the S6. it's pretty light. I mean, it's the exact same screen size, the 5.1, as the S5. So for me, that was nice to get to. I would have liked to have the larger phone, but honestly don't feel like the Edge is really worth it. And most reviews, if you look into it too, it's not going to really differ all too much. Plus, the battery difference is really the only thing I could really see. Since you have a smaller screen, the pixels and colors are a little bit more dense, which I would rather have that than a larger screen size, and the side options, which I could really care less about. So onto the battery, one thing for sure I would like to talk about. The battery life so far is pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's nearly as good as like some people would claim to be. I remember when my S5 first came out, because I got it the day of the launch, the battery was insane, extremely insane. I didn't even have to use power saving or anything for the longest time, and it was beyond what I thought it would be. But after a while, the battery just got increasingly worse and worse. Now, like, I'm lucky if I can get through a full day on one complete charge, and if I even try to do that with moderate to high usage, I'm gonna need to plug it into the car or wall port, anything. So far, I don't think I've gone any less than about 50% at the end of the day with this phone, and I'm actively using both of these phones, but definitely 85% of the time I'm using this, and I'm not restricting any of the power, anything like that. So that definitely shows that the battery is good, but it kind of bugs me that I can't remove the back. So at least with the S5, if I wanted to, I could have this whole time gotten a new battery. With this, I can't do that. But at the same time, you have the quick charge, wireless charging, so you have some options. I kind of wish they would have stuck with the USB 3.0. I like that personally, so that way you can kind of use like an assortment of different chargers. As long as it's a micro USB, it would fit. I like that, but I mean, now you just have the one USB charger. But what I do enjoy is the fact that it is built the way it is. Everything's sealed. So my S5, the flap broke on the charge port. So now I'm not water resistant with this phone I'm holding here. But this phone, it's water resistant all around, and even to a more extent than say the S5. So in that sense, I feel a lot more comfortable with this phone. But and a lot of people will just say, well, just get a case. And I mean, I understand like a case is kind of necessary, but say like with the Galaxy Active series, like it'd be nice if they would come out with these flagship phones with a little bit more durability in mind, and not make you wait another cycle for the active component of the phone, especially if that means you're going to have to kind of give and take. I want more durability in the phone, but now I'm losing functionality of the phone compared to the day one releases or things like that. So one thing that you might notice is the always on display. I actually dig it. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It could have been a little bit better, because really your only options you have is you could just have just a clock with like a background image such as this one, and you can have a few different pictures that they give you to choose. Now, I mean, the main worry some people have that I experienced with the S5, and maybe this is just because of the AMOLED displays, is burn-in. I haven't really gotten a whole lot of problems with that, but definitely I can always see the keyboard on my S5 now, and I mean, I've had the phone for a bit over 2 years, so I guess that makes sense. But some people are a little bit worried about this causing that same issue, because it's always on. This never goes away. But they're also saying that it's only the pixels that are just on that area surrounding it. So it might have that issue, it might not. I feel like it's a really good idea, but as of right now, I kind of feel like it's a little, a little bit vacant. They could have given you a few more options, I think, or you can't use third-party apps with it, so it'll just tell me I have a message waiting, and it'll tell me my charge time and like the date, time, yada yada, but I can't have a message pop up, answer it. Like say HandSent used to be able, you could answer a text from the home screen, the lock screen, things like that. I would enjoy that if they can put in that functionality. It could really be like a minimal like kind of stylized text, but that would help a lot of people, I think, instead of having to open the phone up, things like that. One thing I also might want to move on to is that so far I've had no slow responses. Call quality is great. Uh, like most people will say, maybe my only slight issue with the phone is definitely when you're outside. I mean, you need to have this thing on full blast, or else you're not going to be able to really see the screen very well. It's very glassy. It's very reflective. Very much more so than say the S5 I'm holding right now. But I mean, there's no overheating. I would definitely say if you have the S6, if you can get this phone for free, I would totally get it. But other than that, I would maybe wait to see what else they would come out with in maybe the next like 4 months or so. But if you have the S5 like I do, or even an earlier model, definitely this is worth picking up because I don't see this getting beat anytime soon. There's so much put into it, and what was nice is that it comes equipped with the smart switch. So I just hooked up both my phones together, and it transferred all my content. I haven't even put in the SD card of this, and with a 32 gigabyte in device storage, I mean, there's so much space and 4 gigabytes of RAM. I have no issues, especially even with the apps. Like on the S5, my Snapchat app would constantly buzz up my phone, and I don't even know why. It would overheat, it would freeze. I mean, they would crash all the fucking time. With this phone, I've had no issues, and granted, this is the very first few days of the phone, but I mean, I've always kind of had minor hiccups with the S5 with certain apps, but now you have Android 6.0 with this. Really, the only bummer was just out of the package. It kind of worked like shit until the update came, and apparently that fixed bug fixes such as the battery not being as awesome. But I will also go with that even though it's a 3000 milliamp battery, I don't really feel like it's as great as someone may claim. Maybe not nearly as much as say like the HTC's or the LG's current flagship phone. I feel like their batteries still to this day work a bit more, and I wish I could remove it, but I understand can't always have everything. At least I have expandable storage, so I'll kind of take what I can get. But if you're thinking about getting this phone, look up a few more reviews, what people think about it. I honestly like it, except just the whole fingerprint deal. I'm not really too comfortable on how durable it is, but everything else is fantastic. Camera, call quality, the way the phone feels. It feels sleek. It's comfortable. It's nice. It's not. You don't feel like you're holding a blocky brick like I kind of did with the S5 for instance. So let me know what you guys think. If you watch this, hey, thanks for watching, and have a good one.